Good evening, everybody. This is a very short part of the meeting, so don't worry. I'm here with Murray Goods, who is the chairman of the board of the Board of Trustees of both Maimonides Geriatric Center and Jewish Elder Care, and we're going to do a short report together. So welcome to the annual meeting of the corporation, the foundation, the Medical Research Foundation, and the foundation. So lots of meetings going on and lots of people being honored tonight. So on va aller très, très vite. Alors, there was no annual meeting last year. It got, I believe, Karen, if I'm right, I don't know where you are, I think we had that IT crash that day. And the annual meeting of the foundation and the corporation was on Zoom, and the whole thing crashed. So we have no minutes.
Nonetheless, we'd like a motion to approve them.
That's right. So we don't have minutes from last year's annual meeting, but we did just have a corporation board of trustees meeting, which reviewed last year. And Murray is going to present the slate for 21-22.
Yes, so this is the proposed slate for the Board of Governors for both Maimonides and Jewish Elder Care. I'm going to read, perhaps that's better. I'm going to read out the list of honorary governors first. Mr. Archie Deskin, Mr. Stanley Hitzik, Mr. Murray Kotler, Mr. Elliot Levine, Ms. Ronnie Roeder, Mr. Mark Patekin, Mr. Jeffrey Zunenschein. And for the proposed slate, Mr. Danny Baum, Mr. Milan Bratton, Mr. Michael Korber, Ms. Angela Dangelo, Ms. Hinda Deckelbaum, Mr. Bram Friedman, Mrs. Miriam Friedman, Mr. Sid Gartner, Mr. Murray Goods, Ms. Terry Klein, Mr. George Landau, Mr. Len Lefkowitz, Mr. Larry Nashin, Mr. Freddie Namer, Mr. Rory Olson, Mr. Don Prinsky, Mr. Alan Quallenberg, Mr. Brad Steinmetz, Mr. Ron Waxman. And I would ask for a motion to approve the slate. Do I have a motion to approve the slate? Mr. Brad Steinmetz, seconder. Mr. Rory Olson. Thank you, gentlemen. All those in favor of the slate, please raise your hand. Thank you. Any opposed? None. There never are. The motion is carried.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Great. So the next part of the meeting, you have to stay here, Murray, is the report of the advisory committees of Maimonides Geriatric Center and Jewish Elder Care Center. So I believe we have a slide presentation ready to go.
Get that out of the way.
Great. So some of you have seen this presentation before because I take last year's presentation and I update it, so I'll go very, very quickly. So you know that the Health Care Act provides for the creation of the advisory committee for each grouped institution at the request of the foundation and the corporation. So the mandate of this committee, and it's really important and becoming more important as Bill 96 is looming in front of us, is to make recommendations to the board of directors of the CIUS preserving linguistic, cultural, historic, and local character. It's also to establish links with the foundation and research. So the function is to keep the board informed of special needs, make recommendations on the organization and operation, liaise with the foundation, corporation, and communities, make recommendations re language, culture, history, local character, and the delivery of high-quality care services and innovation, and to approve any proposal to change the name of the organization. And to approve any composition, there are 7 members for each advisory committee, which are nominated jointly by the foundation and the corporation. So the Maimonides Advisory Committee members are Murray Goods, who is the president, Danny Baum, Michael Korber, Angela Dangelo, Karen Flam, Leonard Lukowitz, the Maimonides Advisory Committee members, Jewish Elder Care Advisory Committee members, Don Prinsky, who's the president, Bram Friedman, Sid Gartner, Dr. Mark Karanofsky, Mitch Kendall, Lily Yesevich, and Brad Steinmetz. So unfortunately, between April 2020 and March of 2021, the advisory committee only met once due to COVID, essentially. However, very recently, a meeting of the presidents of the advisory committees of many grouped establishments, the JGH, Miriam, Maimonides, Elder Care, Mount Sinai, St. Mary's, the MUHC, the Children's, the Douglas, all met together to discuss the impact of Bill 96 on the healthcare establishments and the rights to receive services in English. Some very serious concerns were presented to this group by Eric Maldoff, and the advisory committee has a role to play in this issue. A letter was drafted on this subject, reviewed by the various presidents of the advisory committees, and it was sent to Mr. Legault on October 13th. To date, we have not received a response. However, I understand today from Bram Friedman, he reported at our previous meeting, that an action plan is being put together to ensure that our concerns do not go unnoticed. Just for your information, the Mount Sinai Advisory Group often meets with the Maimonides and Jewish Elder Care Advisory Groups, and with the advent of COVID-19, almost everything was put on hold. And we had hired a staff person with a grant from, it wasn't Federation, I think it was the Jewish Community Foundation, but unfortunately, during the midst of COVID, she wasn't working, she resigned, so we're in the midst of reassessing what our needs are. So in conclusion, it's really, really important to keep this advisory committee going, meeting, and to keep any major issues at the top of our plate and to really inform the senior management of the CIUS. And any recommendations that come out would be presented to the board of directors.
I approve this message.
Oh, thank you, Murray. And usually we have guests come and present what's happening in terms of the buildings, keeping us up to date with quality, Plane Tree, but this year we didn't. But I think you'll go back to it next year.
We certainly will.
Okay, so that's the annual reports of those two advisory committees. And that concludes our portion of this meeting. We're going to pass it on to the next person, which I believe is Angela. Dangelo. We'll turn one off. That one is working.
This one's not?
No, I just turned it off.
Oh.
Turn it on if you want.
How do you turn this one on? Oh, this one? No, this one.
You want me to put it in? Oh,
I want this one.
Oh,
Is
it
this
is
one
on.
working? Yeah,
It
that
is
one's
on.
working. So we'll take this one off.
okay.
We'll mute this one.
Seems to be working.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. My name is Angela Dangelo, for those who don't know me. I'm president of both Donald Berman Maimonides and the Donald Berman Jewish Elder Care Foundations, and welcome to the 2021 annual meetings of the foundations, the corporation, and the Medical Research Foundation. Mesdames et messieurs, bonsoir. Mon nom est Angela Dangelo, présidente de la fondation du Centre gériatrique Maimonides Donald Berman. That's a mouthful. Et la fondation du CHSLD juif Donald Berman. Je vous souhaite la bienvenue à notre assemblée annuelle de nos corporations et de notre fondation. This year, due to COVID restrictions, we are live streaming tonight's AGM, and so I'd like to welcome those who are joining us from home. For those of you who are here in person, it is truly, truly wonderful to see you. We are proud of the Donald Berman Maimonides Foundation's many accomplishments over this most challenging past year. It is with great pleasure that I share some of the major achievements of the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2021. The foundation provided $465,506 in allocations to the center, including the Medical Research Foundation. In this exceptional year, the foundation launched a new project, Feel the Love program, to support and sustain our staff and residents during the pandemic. $100,000 in this. 100,000 was invested in this effort, providing over 10,000 meals to our staff and many other essentials. With the reorganization of the Quebec healthcare system, our priorities have become laser focused. Going forward, the Foundation's commitment is to safeguard, promote, preserve, and continue to grow our cultural heritage programs and the excellent standard of care for our residents. The Foundation continues to fund the therapeutic recreation activities, cultural programs, and vital continuing education bursaries and conferences to our staff. This is the 11th year of operations of the Centre for Research in Aging, fully funded by the Foundation at the level of $20,000 per month. Our director, Dr. Michelle Walensky, is here with us this evening, and the annual report of the Research Centre for the Aging is provided to you at your tables. 2020-2021 was a very active year for fundraising. With one of Montreal's premier golf tournaments, we raised $133,000 for the Centre for Research in Aging at the 2020 Donald Berman Maimonides RBC Wealth Management Golf Tournament. Thank you so much to RBC Wealth Management and to the co-chairs of this event, Danny Baum and Steve Costers, for your terrific leadership and commitment. Our committee and volunteers are critical to the success of this final event, and I could tell you everybody was so happy to get out that day, including myself, who rode the cart with Danny. For 18 years, our annual Battle of the Band fundraiser was a rockin' good time raising much-needed funds for the residents. For the safety of all, we made the decision to cancel the 2020 event. However, our presentation sponsor, National Bank Private Banking 1859, led the way and honored their incredible financial commitment. Hundreds more donated to our No Battle Battle as we faced our very own real battle against COVID-19. The 2020 No Battle Battle raised an outstanding $193,667 with hardly any expenses. Thank you to everyone, including co-chairs Jerry Candiston, Freddie Namer, and Rob Hersheimer, for their hard work and devotion to this effort. Monies raised purchased iPads for families to communicate to residents, flat-screen TVs for our hot zone rooms, thousands of red T-shirts to identify our frontline COVID agents, monitoring infection control protocols, and most importantly, a portable digital X-ray machine. The Foundation's 2 outreach programs continue to sustain our cultural programs. The Yahrzeit Candle program honors the memory of our residents who've passed away. The Kaddish Fund sponsors the Saturday morning Kaddishes in the Delucy Synagogue. We are pleased to offer so many ways for our donors to come to the aid of our residents. We wish to thank those individuals who were so generous to think of Donald Berman Maimonides and Donald Berman Jewish Elder Care during their lifetime, and who made sure that we were included in their wills. Funds received from estates continue to be a very important part of our growth and our revenues. Many thanks to all of the governors and life governors who continue to support us. Thank you to the many donors who established name funds and continue to use our tribute card service at both of our locations. As outgoing president, I want to take a moment to thank the board of directors, Karen and the Foundation team, for allowing me the privilege to lead and serve alongside you. When I accepted the mandate 2 years ago, little could I and our board have imagined what the world had in store for us. And yet, in the wake of the very first weeks of this pandemic, the very first item on the agenda was taking care of our people, so in turn, they could take care of our residents. And that is exactly what they did with the Share the Love campaign. Thank you to Karen and the Foundation team for all that you have done. This is one small team, but let me tell you, they can move mountains. Two years ago, I stood in this very room and told you that what our two cultures shared was our love of food. Today, post-pandemic, I dare say that what keeps us together is one strong common objective: our elderly, their safety, and most of all, their happiness. I'd now like to call upon Randy Gitnick, Treasurer of the DBM Foundation. Randy?
Thank you, Angela. Bonsoir and good evening. It's really nice to see everybody here in person. Both foundations' efforts are focused on providing the centers with the means to deliver more than care to our residents. I will review the condensed financial statements for Donald Berman Maimonides, which are available on your tables and were sent out prior to this meeting. I am pleased to report that our foundation is in sound financial order. The condensed financial statements as at March 31st, 2021 for Maimonides have a balance sheet showing that our net assets at year-end totaled $24,475,924. The statement of revenues and expenses indicates net revenues of $389,422 generated from fundraising activities, including membership income from our governors, donations received through our estates and bequests, the Sweet Dreams campaign, Project Feel the Love, general donations from the community, and revenues generated by our very successful Golf Tournament 2020 and No Battle of the Bands 2020. Net revenue from a combined investment income and capital gains, not including unrealized gains, totaled $933,632. Total general expenses were $439,983, and allocations to the Center for Improvements to Services and Facilities were $465,506, including allocations to the Donald Berman Maimonides Medical Research Foundation. The total expenses, including our allocations to the center, were $905,489. This year, due to the method of recording our investments that we are required to do, we are reporting an excess of revenues over expenses of $3,267,462. Are there any questions regarding these statements? I would ask for a motion to approve financial statements for the Donald Berman Maimonides Geriatrics Foundation for 2020-2021. Moved by Danny Baum, seconded by Brad. Oh, sorry, couldn't see you. Opposed? Passed unanimously. Merci and thank you. At this time, I'd like to call upon Barry Grossman.
Thank you, Randy. It's great to see everyone again in person. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Barry Grossman. I'm the treasurer of the Donald Berman Jewish Elder Care Foundation. I'm pleased to report on the foundation's figures as of March 31st, 2021. The condensed financial statements for Donald Berman Jewish Elder Care Foundation were sent to you by email. The balance sheet shows that our net assets at year-end totaled $11,841,798. The statement of revenues and expenses indicates net revenues of $143,404, generated from fundraising activities, including membership from our governors and direct mail campaign, donations received through estates and bequests, the Sweet Dreams campaign, Project Feel the Love, and revenues generated by our 2020 DBJ hockey tournament. Also, general donations for the year totaled $322,524. Because of the new reporting systems imposed by CRA, previously mentioned by Randy, regarding the fair market value of our investments, we had a net income this year of $1,625,200 $271. Yeah. Total general expenses were $185,000, and allocations to the Center for Improvements to Services and Facilities were $402,302. Therefore, total expenses, including allocations, were $587,303. We are reporting a year in excess of revenues over expenses and allocations of $1,513,896. Are there any questions regarding the statements as presented? If there are none, then I would ask for a motion to approve the financial statements of Donald Berman Jewish Elder Care Foundation for the 2021 year. Moved by Rory, I see. Seconded by Randy. Okay. Any opposed? Okay, passed unanimously. I'll now hand you over to Angela, I think.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
According to the bylaws of the foundations, we are required to appoint the auditors on an annual basis. I would like to move that the firm Fuller Landau be reappointed as auditors of both foundations for the year 2021-2022, fees to be set and approved in accordance with the practice of the foundations. Do we have a mover? Danny Baum. And a seconder? Barry Grossman. Any opposed? There never is. Passed unanimously. Thank you, Randy, Barry, and Michael Korber, and your dedicated budget team and investment committees for all of your efforts throughout the year. And now I would like to call on Rory Olson, the chair of the nominating committee. Rory.
Thank you, Angela. Guys, I just want to take 1 second off script a little bit just to acknowledge the incredibly remarkable and transformative 19 or 20 months that everybody in this building has lived with and lived through, and the incredible leadership that we've been blessed to have in terms of Barbara, her entire team. I mean, man, does this punctuate the last part of what's been an incredible legacy career. And Karen, entire team. I mean, if you just listened for a second to the presentations that had been made by Randy and Barry and thought for 1 second about the amount of money that in this period has been raised, actually raised, it is nothing short of remarkable. I mean, our world literally came to a grinding halt, and we're sitting here in a room full of loving faces, and an incredible institution supporting incredible people. And it's just, I wanted to take a second just to acknowledge, for everybody to acknowledge that. I am happy to report that the nominating committee met, composed of Danny Baum, Angela D'Angelo, Brad Steinmetz, Michael Korber, Freddie Namer, and myself. And that is obviously a sign that things are slowly but surely returning to normal. What is really a sign that things are slowly but surely returning to normal is the fact that we are all here meeting in this room. So you see on the screen that slate. I'm not going to read all the names, but I'd like to welcome our new board members, Carly Goodman and Sylvie Marois and Richard Salas. And I move that the Board of Directors slate for 2021-22, 45 members strong, be approved as presented. Do I have a seconder? Freddie Namer. Are there anybody, does anybody oppose? How dare you? So, it is therefore passed unanimously. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank retiring board member Cielo Karen for her many years of service to our residents. Our board members give so generously of their time, energy, and expertise, attending meetings, committee functions, special events, and providing us with outstanding leadership and contributions. Without our dedicated team of board members, the foundation would just not be the same. On behalf of the entire Donald Berman Maimonides and Donald Berman Jewish Elder Care family, especially our residents, our heartfelt thanks go out to all of you. And I'd now like to call Danny Baum, Chair of the Medical Research Foundation, to come and chat.
Good evening. I'd like to announce that the annual report of the Donald Berman Maimonides Medical Research Foundation is provided for you at your tables. And I've been asked to present the proposed slate of the Maimonides Medical Research Foundation for 2021-22. It's a shorter list, so I'll read the names. Danny Baum, Michael Korber, Archie Deskin, Karen Flam, Barbara Gold, George Landau, Len Lukowitz, Larry Nashin, Freddie Namer, Alan Quallenberg, Rory Olson, Gary Stupler, Ron Waxman, and Angela Dangelo. I move that this slate be approved as presented. Seconded by Rory, thank you. Any opposed? Passed unanimously. Thank you.
It is my pleasure now to introduce the Chief of Medical Services at DBM, Dr. Chris McMahon, for this evening's first special presentation to Dr. Jack Gateman, who is retiring.
Hello, my name is Dr. Chris McMahon. I took over for Dr. Gateman as Maimonides Medical Chief this past year. It's my pleasure to say a few words about Dr. Jack Gateman. To begin, I want to say that I will never be able to fill the shoes of Dr. Gateman. I can only aspire to be as kind, wise, and effective a leader as he was. And it is certainly clear that I will never demonstrate the fashionable style of Jack, in particular his brown cowboy hat that we will all miss. Dr. Gateman began his career at Maimonides over 40 years ago, around the time I was born. That's not supposed to be funny. At the time, the 6th floor was being added. Dr. Gateman was the first doctor on the 6th floor, and then he moved to the Helen and Sam Steinberg Day Hospital, which we no longer have, and following that, the 4th floor, and ultimately the 2nd floor, where he has worked the last many years until his last day at the center last month. Dr. Gateman enjoyed working at Maimonides immensely. However, like many of us, he found that the work came with its unique challenges. That being said, the challenge motivated him. He became an excellent communicator as a result, even-keeled, calm, and always rational. He recalls a particular story with a family member that touched him. About a year after the resident was admitted, a year consisting of many challenging family interactions, and the resident was now in their final days, a family member said to Jack, "Dr. Gateman, I finally realized we're on the same page." Dr. Gateman's colleagues describe a man who always went the extra mile, whether it was waiting until a family member arrived in person to give them the latest news about their loved one, or getting the key to the morgue and going with a daughter to see her beloved family member himself, or always calling family members to express his condolences when their loved ones passed away. He was thoroughly empathic and thoughtful. Why stay at a place for 40 years? Well, Dr. Gateman says part of the reason is that he always felt fully supported by you, the administration, and he appreciated Barbara Gold's open-door policy and that she always aimed for excellence. Things have changed for physicians in the last 40 years. Dr. Gateman says the load is heavier, with residents coming into the center with more complicated cases than ever before. However, he has stayed on as the people he worked with made it worthwhile. Dr. Gateman always enjoyed working with the staff, from maintenance to housekeeping to nurses and other professionals. He said Maimonides was like a second family. Dr. Gateman admits that he got a little choked up on his final day at the center. Many staff did too. He will miss his second family, and we will miss him even more, especially that signature brown cowboy hat. His medical staff will also miss him. I personally have learned so much from Jack over the years that I've had the privilege to work alongside him. I've worked under many department chiefs in 11 years of practice in hospitals, emergency rooms, clinics, but Jack is one of the kindest and most dedicated colleagues, chiefs, and leaders I've ever encountered. And he's not just pleasant to be around, but he's incredibly knowledgeable and insightful too. I also particularly enjoyed impromptu hallway conversations that we had over the years. He always had stories to tell. And he was always quick to remind me that it's not my fault that I'm not Jewish. I wish he could have stayed on a few more years so I could continue learning from him. I hope he won't mind if I pick up the phone to call him asking for advice in the future. Please do. Jack leaves a legacy of caring. He's not just an extraordinary doctor, but he's also an extraordinary human being. And now he can spend more time on one of the great joys of his life, being a father and Zadie to his loving family. For 40 years of incredible dedication and commitment to our residents, we say thank you. Please come up to receive this special gift.
Thank you very much. Anyone? Everybody hear me? Okay, well, thank you very much. It was nice to hear all those wonderful things about me, but I'd like to say a few words about why I stayed here for 40 years. I remember when I started to work here, there were certain pluses and there were certain challenges. The pluses were the wonderful staff, both professional and non-professional, the warm atmosphere, and there's one person in particular whom I'd like to mention because it's quite appropriate this evening, and that's Barbara Gold. I'm very proud to say that I was on the search committee that selected Barbara Gold as the executive director of Maimonides. Anybody who's spent even a short time with her will realize very quickly that she is a very wise person with excellent administrative skills, and as Chris has mentioned, an open door policy, which is wonderful. The difficulties, the obstacles at Maimonides were mostly helping families adjust to the trauma of having a loved one admitted to long-term care. It's a very, very difficult situation and brings out a lot of emotions. It's a loss of control. It's realizing that your relative is not doing well. That's the end of the line. Things are not going to get better. And a lot of emotions come out. It can range from a bit of gratitude to anger to frustration to guilt. And these are things that really have to be dealt with to make this a better place and to help the families. I wasn't sure what else I was going to say this evening, but I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning a few weeks ago, and I guess at my age you're allowed to suffer from insomnia once in a while. Turned on the computer and saw a very, very interesting speech given by a Buddhist monk from the Shaolin Monastery, I don't know if there's one or more, in Europe. And what he said really struck me. He said that he told an allegory, which really is an allegory about what life is all about. He said, there was a man standing in front of a high mountain. And he looked at the mountain and he said, can I go higher? How can I get higher on this mountain? And if I do get higher on this mountain, will I see more clearly? It goes on and on. He asks various people, and then the story comes out. Everybody has to find his or her own path to climb the mountain. And I would like to say that because of the challenges at Maimonides, I learned a lot about myself, about people. It helped me tremendously in my professional career and in my personal life. So I really would like to say that it's thanks to Maimonides and all the wonderful people here and the people affiliated with Maimonides that I've been able to climb much higher on my mountain and to see things much more clearly. If anybody were to say to me, what would you say to Maimonides and what would you say To everybody affiliated with it, I would say thank you. I wasn't sure then, but I know why. When I left the door to go to my car at my last day working as a clinician at Maimonides, I said, this is wonderful. No more night calls, no more weekend calls. I don't have to worry, oh my gosh, I got to go home. I forgot my cell phone. Somebody might call me. But then I sat down in the front seat of my car, and the tears started to trickle down. I'll miss this place. I'll miss you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, and congratulations, Dr. Gateman. Wishing you a long and healthy retirement. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Danny Baum, past Foundation President, for the next presentation.
So, I have the privilege to say a few words about outgoing Foundation President Angela Dangelo. Angela became the first woman president of the foundation in 2019, and we all know what happened after that. In fact, walking in here, I realized that between the meeting 2 years ago when she was appointed president and tonight, those are the only 2 in-person meetings she's had the pleasure of doing during her presidency. During her tenure as president, her clear guidance and keen business acumen steered the foundation during the last 2 very difficult years. She was instrumental in guiding Project Field of Love, which helped our frontline staff as they dealt with the COVID crisis. Thanks to generous donors, our team provided over 10,000 meals and snacks, as well as other items like homemade soups, masks for use outside the facilities, ear guards to make the wearing of masks more comfortable, hand cream for their tired hands, fruit for busy days, and groceries to take home. Angela was personally responsible for asking the CEO of Kruger Paper himself, Mr. Jean Roy, for a donation of toilet paper for our staff. Mr. Roy even sent his senior management team to unload the thousands of rolls of toilet paper to Federation CGA for distribution to our sites. When we made the difficult decision to cancel the 2020 Battle of the Bands because of COVID, Angela assured us that National Bank 1859 was still committed to their sponsorship of the event. In fact, National Bank led the way for the No Battle, helping the foundation raise $193,000 for our COVID crisis fund. This fund provided iPads for our residents to communicate with families, red T-shirts to identify our COVID agents, and portable DVD players for use in residents' rooms, along with other essentials to combat both COVID and the loneliness which ensued for our residents as a result. Angela's legacy is our new digital marketing strategy, taking the foundation to new heights with technologically focused initiatives. She has been the driving force behind what will include a standalone website, email marketing, and a social media presence that we've never had before. We're very excited and look forward to this latest venture. The foundations are truly grateful to you, Angela, for the devotion that you continue to show to our residents. Your commitment is truly second to none. On a personal note, I've known Angela for the past 20 years, going back to the days when I was a rookie at RBC Domain Securities and she was my assistant branch manager. In addition to being a groundbreaking president of the foundations, she's an exceptional airplane, travel, and golf cart buddy, a person I respect greatly, and most of all, a good friend. Angela, it is my pleasure and my honor to welcome you as the newest member of the Past Presidents Club. The pay is still lousy, your commitment doesn't change, but at least now you can deflect any heat to the current president. Angela, please come up to accept this gift in recognition, that gift? In recognition of your exceptional leadership during an unprecedented.
Wow. boy. Thank you so much, Danny, for those kind words. And just for the record, my husband's here tonight. He's never seen me that much in awe with Elvis Presley. Honey, you're still my guy. I hadn't seen that picture for a long time. You never know what Howard's taking pictures of. You never get to see the pictures, actually. And now it's my pleasure to say a few words about incoming Foundation President Brad Steinmetz. Brad is no stranger to the Foundation. He started as a board member at the Jewish Elder Care Hospital of Hope Elder Care Foundation and served as president before the merge of our two foundations. Brad has been involved in many aspects of the centers, including as member of the corporation board, the advisory committees, and a member of our joint foundation board of directors. The DBJ Signature event, our annual hockey tournament, was actually his initiative. And he remains the co-chair of this successful fundraiser. It's like that song, you know, by the Eagles, you can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Danny knows that. Karen knows it by heart. He has a particular soft spot for DBJ, as his late mother was a resident there. He is truly devoted to the needs of our residents, and we couldn't be happier to have him as president. Welcome, Brad, to your new role. It is now my pleasure to introduce Beverly Kravitz, the Director of Human Resources, Communications, and Legal Affairs for the CIUS West Central Montreal, to come up and introduce a very special video.
Good evening. It's truly a privilege to be here to be introducing a special video in honor of Barbara. Over the 30-plus years, I'd venture to say she's come across many thousands of volunteers, employees, colleagues, and residents, and I would be very comfortable in saying she has had a profound impact on each and every one. For me, Barbara is a force of nature. We do not say no to Barbara. We just figure out how to make whatever she thinks needs to happen, happen. Maybe the grandchildren would be the only ones who might say no from time to time, not even. It's been such a treat working with Barbara and a thrill. She is wise, and her advice is always sound and good, and I've learned tremendously from her. I think we've had our interesting discussions along the way, but always fix everything over a lunch. I think we've all been so privileged and lucky to have come in your sphere and in your path, and you will be incredibly missed, but we look forward to post-retirement stuff. Wishing you lots of good health and happiness, and enjoy everything.
Barbara Gold has been a really significant contributor to the well-being of the community.
Barbara est une personne qui a eu un impact majeur sur notre établissement.
Barbara, c'est une gestionnaire de proximité. J'ai jamais vu quelqu'un comme ça qui se promenait sur les unités à parler aux résidents, puis elle avait un réflexe très rapide de regarder le nom sur le côté du fauteuil roulant pour vraiment avoir un contact privilégié avec chacun des résidents.
I would say Barbara's greatest quality would be her practicality. So I'm also a very practical person, so I appreciate somebody who's practical. We would look at a problem, analyze it, and come up with realistic and practical solutions.
When all about her are losing their heads, she stays calm. Frankly, the bigger the problem, the bigger the crisis, the better she is.
Barbara est une personne très déterminée. Alors, si elle croit en quelque chose, elle va aller jusqu'au bout, elle va y mettre toute l'énergie nécessaire. Elle le fait pour le bien des patients, pour le bien des résidents.
I'm always astonished that Barbara can figure out the solution to a problem before most people have even figured out what the problem is. And I think that that's what a true leader does. And that's exactly who she's been each and every day. And I was just lucky to be able to learn from her.
I think when you talk about the impact that Barbara's had, you have to go way back before the creation of the CIUS. I mean, over the years, Barbara's been at Maimonides for about 30 years now, and she put Maimonides on the map.
I remember during the height of pandemic, when we were doing long hours, one time she called us at midnight, asking us to go home and take some rest. She was always there to support us.
When you work with Barbara, you were like family. She treated you like family. It wasn't just about work. She would be part of your life in every aspect. She gave great advice, not just with work, but she gave great advice if you had personal issues, if you had family issues, if you had medical issues. She just always gave very logical and solid advice, and you wanted to work with her. It was a pleasure to work with her.
I remember one of my first memories is being invited to high tea. I felt like the Queen of England was inviting me to celebrate, and when I saw all the staff there and how they were catered to and treated, they must have all felt that they were invited by the Queen to high tea. That's how special Barbara makes everybody feel.
Elle a définitivement changé ma vie. Je me suis fait désirer quand elle m'a approché la première fois pour aller travailler à Maimonides. Je ne connaissais pas ça, je ne parlais pas anglais. J'étais un peu craintive, j'étais une jeune mère et elle m'a accueillie à bras ouverts. J'ai découvert une communauté extraordinaire.
Barbara, I would really want you to know that it was a pleasure working with you during all of these years.
Barbara, wish you all the best for your new phase of life.
You should be very proud of your contributions over the years, and that I'm sure in looking back at your time working in the system, that you should feel very proud of the contributions that you've made.
Oh, je lui ai dit plusieurs fois au cours des 20 dernières années comment je l'aime, puis comment je suis contente qu'elle ait insisté pour me dire « Viens voir qu'est-ce que ça a de l'air », parce que j'ai fait des rencontres extraordinaires.
We need to thank you sincerely and honor you for the extremely important work that you've done all these years.
And I want to thank you for all that you've done for us, for your colleagues, and for the people that you've served these many, many years, and just wish you only wonderful things.
I wish Barbara just a lot of happiness and enjoyment in retirement.
We're going to miss you tremendously.
I think that the elderlies really appreciate what you have been doing for them.
Barbara, I would like you to know how much you've meant to me, both at work and at play. Thank you so much for everything.
You know that you're precious in my life. You're an inspiration, you're a leader, and most importantly, you're my friend, almost my sister.
and simcha, and better things to come. I want to present you with this 30-year pin. See?
You're beautiful then, and you're still so beautiful. Barbara and I go back a long time. She almost hired me.
And then you hired me.
That's right, exactly, that was beautiful. So, I'm gonna follow her steps, close by, so I know what she's going through. Better or new afterwards, but
You already did that with my sister.
yeah, I already did. So don't go too far.
Thank you so much.
You want to photo?
And now it's time, just when you think it's over, Barbara, there's one more. It's time for what most of us have been waiting for tonight. It's my pleasure to introduce Len Lukowicz, who will honor outgoing director of SAPA, Barbara Gold, with the Outstanding Service Award. Len, the floor is yours.
Good evening. I may cry, you may cry. Just a bit. Poet Maya Angelou said, "People will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." Our Barbara has devoted over 30 years to ensuring that the most vulnerable in our society feel heard, feel safe, and feel cared for. And now she is retiring. It's hard to imagine this place without you, Barbara. It is an honor for me to take this moment to convey our respect and gratitude for all that you have brought to this vast community of precious seniors, to our beautiful staff, our loyal board members, and our devoted volunteers. I've had the great honor of sitting on the foundation and center boards for 20 years, even as president. And in that time, I witnessed Barbara embody what I feel are the three most challenging responsibilities of a CEO: to set the vision, to put the right people in place to execute that vision, and to plan for succession. From the time she was hired as executive director of the then Maimonides Hospital Geriatric Center, at only age 37, Barbara set the tone of collaboration and no nonsense. She had a vision of what she wanted her time at Maimonides to mean. I think most of all, it was her own combination of patience and determination that made it all happen. She knew how to get everyone moving and growing in the right direction. Barbara had the courage to take risks. By her own admission, she wouldn't take no for an answer. One powerful example of Barbara's vision involved becoming certified by Plaintree. She identified the best model for patient-centric care, and then, through months and months of training and certification, Maimonides reached new heights by inspiring caregivers to personalize, demystify, and humanize the patient experience. This led Maimonides to go further in geriatric care and become a recognized leader across the world. More on that later. The needs of the residents have always been Barbara's top priority. She is driven by the belief that people in long-term care deserve the same quality of care as those in acute care hospitals. When I started out, Barbara said, long-term care was a poor cousin, and I didn't think it deserved to be. These people are entitled to the best. Another example of Barbara's vision involved creating a feeling of camaraderie and collaboration among the staff and volunteers. Just look at the strength of the board foundation relationship and the vast network of pro bono professionals sitting on our committees. Miriam Friedman, a longtime board member, remembers, Barbara captained our ship and made it her business to know every aspect of it. And no detail was too small for Barbara. It all mattered, and yet never a micromanager. So our magnificent foundation director, Karen Flam, said she learned so much by just watching Barbara in action. She recalled on any given day, Barbara could be seen talking to residents and visiting them on the floors. She said she remembers seeing Barbara walk the halls, and it moved her how nurses, doctors, orderlies, and residents would call out to her, "Hey, Mrs. Gold. Hey, Barbara." Barbara even instituted, as we saw, something called high tea, which gave employees a chance to ask questions and discuss work issues. According to staff, Barbara's informal meetings made them feel valued and heard, and gave them a place to connect with the administration. It helped them feel like a family, all joined by a common goal. One never to walk away from a challenge, in 2005, after 14 years at the helm of Maimonides, Barbara accepted the additional role of Executive Director of Jewish Elder Care. Bram Friedman, past chair, who championed a huge turnaround, said Barbara took over during a very challenging time in elder care's development. She brought professionalism and stability to the center and fully delivered on patient-centered excellence, as they knew she would. 10 years later, after another series of cuts and restructurings of the provincial health system, Barbara was appointed director of the support program for the autonomy of seniors at the newly formed CIUS de Centre-Ouest de l'Île de Montréal. She was now responsible for home care in a territory with 55,000 clients, as well as over 2,000 nursing beds spread across 7 facilities, including our own Donald Berman Maimonides Geriatric Center and Donald Berman Jewish Elder Care. So despite tremendous changes to Quebec's healthcare system over the years, Barbara has always insisted on maintaining rich institutional and cultural identity of the center she oversaw. The current CEO, Dr. Lawrence Rosenberg, commented that in every community and organization there are challenges. Strong communities and organizations have a clear sense of what their ideals are, who they are, and what they aspire to be. It's the leader's job to define this reality. Barbara, throughout her distinguished career, has certainly epitomized this role. One of Barbara's greatest strengths is the ability to hire the right people for the job and to entrust and empower to get things done with excellence. A great quote about management could have been written about you, Barbara. To inspire people, don't show them your superpowers, show them theirs. And that is what she did and does, recruiting the team she knows will build a strong future, and in the process, mentors a long list of current and future managers. Carrie Bogont, Director of Finance for the CIUS, says Barbara has always been her mentor. I admire her team approach, whether working with the ministry or with members of the senior leadership. She always included her entire team in finding solutions. She made us all feel valued and supported, which inspired us to do better and helped me where I am today. Barbara earned major public accolades over the years, helping transform Maimonides and elder care into leaders in geriatric care and models of excellence throughout the world. She was the first Canadian in the history of the Association of Jewish Aging Services to be their board chair. She was also the first Jewish executive director to take home a prestigious award from the Quebec Association of Health and Social Service Establishments, the ACES, recognizing her exceptional leadership. She won the highest award at AGIS, the Dr. Herbert Shore Award, for being an outstanding executive professional who exemplifies the goals and ideals of the best in senior services. Barbara is a trailblazer. She leads by doing. She's often the first one to arrive and the last to leave. She's willing to accept any challenge. And if she can't find a solution, she has a lifelong, loyal database of trusted people that she reaches out to for help and guidance. She's not afraid to ask for help, which I think is a prime example of success and courage. From scabies to COVID-19, in 30 years, Barbara has seen it all, but she never lets anything deter her. She puts the needs of our residents at the forefront of all she does. In the year 2000, for example, she was adamant that care homes needed electric beds similar to those in hospitals because it makes it easier for staff to tend to the residents. Always the staff, always the residents. So she found a Quebec-made model of beds, but it didn't have formal approval from the Standards Board. So that didn't deter you. Barbara pursued it to the top. After a relentless effort, she succeeded in getting the Bureau de Normalisation de Québec to change the provincial regulations, and the bed was accepted. And not just used here at Maimonides, but across the province now. New York Times bestselling authors, Siegel and Bryson, talk about a book they wrote called The Power of Parents Showing Up. So what do they mean by showing up? They mean offering a quality of presence. It's not about being perfect, but about being there. Every child, they write, needs to feel the 4 S's in order to feel healthy and resilient. Safe, seen, soothed, and secure. This immediately made me think of you, Barbara, as the leader of this family. You have worked tirelessly for 30 years to help our staff, residents, and volunteers feel safe, seen, soothed, and secure. This has led to an organization that is healthy and resilient. Barbara, on a very personal note, I feel you are simply the finest CEO I have ever had the honor to work with. Not just because you are both tough as nails and fair to the last drop, not just because you are resolute, clear, and determined to serve our residents and clients as though they are family. Not just because you choose and lead huge teams with grace and class, and not just because people want to work with you and be led by you. You are the finest CEO I have ever worked with because you inspire people. You garner tremendous respect, and you create an environment that thrives because people feel motivated to learn and feel free to create. I am a better person for having worked with you and for having learned from your example of leadership. Please accept our best wishes for Mazel Tov on your retirement, from me, my family, from all the people you have touched on every level. May the future bring you so much joy and love and fun times with all the amazing people in your life. As I conclude, a heartwarming tribute will play behind me. It was produced by our loving and talented communications and foundation team. So I will leave you with this quote that certainly could have been written about you. Leadership is about making others better, a result of your presence, and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. Barbara, on behalf of the corporations, the foundations, the centers, and the thousands of residents, staff, volunteers, and board members you have impacted so positively and so profoundly, please come up to accept this incredibly well-deserved Outstanding Service Award for all that you have given and all whom you have inspired. Thank you.
So I hardly know what to say. I mean, it's been like the most incredible 2 to 3 weeks of my life. I mean, I'm so touched by all the recognition that I've received from all my peers and from the staff. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. You know, I'm really, really lucky and blessed to have been able to do this job for all these years. And my biggest joy, and I think you heard that a little bit, is all the people I've worked with. I mean, that's what made it great to come to work. Just fabulous, fabulous people. And looking around this room, like every single person is in that category. And you know, from my board chairs at Maimonides and Elder Care, Len, Ron, Larry, Archie, Bram, and the committee chairs, Murray, and committee members, Miriam, Ronnie. I mean, you guys gave me your support unconditionally to do my job, and really during the good times and during the challenging times. All the foundation presidents and boards who were there to support me, and the team who helped me realize our dreams to provide the best possible care for the resident. Thank you. And really, the senior management team originally at Maimonides, Jacques, Lucy, Carrie, Jack, I mean, you're my friends. Like, I don't even know what else to say. After everything I've heard, you know how I feel about you. But, you know, I was just so lucky to have such a great team. And who can forget Karen? I mean, the shining light that's really moved the organization also to the forefront. You know, it's a very easy job when you have such a great team. So it really wasn't hard. I never felt it was difficult for a day. Since we've become part of the CIUS Centre West, our SAPA teams are also outstanding, from Christine and Rosalie, Luke, Aaron, Jennifer, and Leah. Like, you've become even stronger during the last 18 months and the whole COVID experience. And I feel as close to you guys as I do to the team that I worked with for 15 or 18 years. And to the senior leaders of our CIUS, I mean, first of all, Bev, that video, I can't even, we'll have a conversation about it. But to you, Bev, Francine, Dr. Rosenberg, and Gary. I mean, it's just really thank you for giving me the space over the past 6 years to really do what I liked doing, and you didn't stop me from doing it. So thank you very much. You know, I feel a little bit like an Academy Award winner. Like, I have to say thank you to everyone, and I'm sure I've forgotten people. But finally, what I really want to say is I want to say thank you to my husband, Paul, and to my daughters, Debbie and Kimmy, who were my biggest cheerleaders and support system all those years through good and bad. So thank you, guys. And, you know, it's a very emotional time. I'll be leaving on Friday, but I'm not really going to leave because I'll be back at some point, I'm sure, in the healthcare system. And thank you very much, everybody. It's an honor.
Thank you, and very well said. Beautiful words about Barbara. And Barbara, mazel tov, and long and healthy retirement to you, but we'll see you around the halls. Just before we conclude, I'd like to ask the foundation board members to stay in here for our official board picture. That concludes this year's AGM. Thank you for joining us, whether you were here in person or listening to us live streaming. I'd like to wish each and every one of you a healthy and prosperous future going forward as we enter this new way of living and learn to relive again. And I would like to thank you for everything everyone does every day to better our residents. Thank you.